And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing players find great designers whose game they can love, and help amazing designers find great players who will love their games. We do that in a lot of different ways, but we're in the middle of something we've never done before. That's a full campaign here on Plus One of The Between by Jason Cordova. We're going into session 5. If you've missed any of the previous sessions, the VODs are available here on Twitch or over on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/plus1exp. We've also been doing a little bit of a competition that's available for the next hour and a half-ish. We'll announce it after one of our breaks. We're doing a giveaway of Brindlewood Bay, Nephews in Peril, or if you've already have those two great books on your shelf, we will give you a gift card to the Plus One store. But you might be asking, what is The Between? Why don't we go over to Jason Cordova? Jason, why don't you tell people a little bit about The Between, and maybe we can whip around at the beginning of this session to catch ourselves and the VOE audience up a little bit on what our characters have been up to. Does that work?
I love it. Yeah. So I am Jason. I am the keeper for this campaign and the creator of the game. The Between. The Between is a game about monster hunters in Victorian era London. They live in this ridiculous mansion called Hargrave House, and there they learn about the various monstrous threats, sometimes literal monsters, sometimes figurative monsters that are threatening London, and they have to go stop them. And there is a criminal mastermind, in this case, the former pirate queen of Barbuda, Theodora Brathwaite, who is manipulating things behind the scenes. We didn't see her much last time, but I think we probably will again pretty soon. Yeah, and so it's based off of my game Brindlewood Bay, and in terms of the mechanics, and it's a great time. I love the idea of going around and having everybody just introduce themselves and their characters, just to kind of say what we know about your characters so far, because we do know some things about them now, and we're about to learn a little bit more about them as well. But why don't we start with Lord Baston Gray?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Narr, sassy lich everywhere. But right now, more importantly, I'm Lord Bastion Gray. And I'm playing the Undeniable. And if you haven't watched prior, it's just a really fucked up Dorian Gray, frankly, is the direction I've taken this man. We know he has employed Langfisk, our lovely Langfisk over here, down here, I believe, where he is. And has committed a few atrocities, just a few small ones, and will continue to do more.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's go over to Nox Aspectum.
I am Nox Aspectum. I am playing the mother. Nox is a... anytime anyone calls Nox a doctor, Nox says Nox is fine. Is Nox a doctor? Who knows? It's Victorian London. What is a doctor anyways? I am secretly building... a person somewhere hidden away in Hargrave House. I'm like to put my hands into bodies and find out what is happening. I also recently have been... I think infatuated is a good term with this specimen that we have been hunting, as he continues to call it, this creature that has been draining other people of blood. Certainly couldn't be a vampire, but it did certainly drain some of my blood the last time we watched, which I willingly allowed it to do. That's probably fine, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's perfectly fine. Let's go over to Rick Miller.
Oh my gosh, hi. Hi guys, I'm Vyn at Vyn Vox VA on Twitter and I think everywhere else, and I'll be playing Rick Miller, the American, which you know about it. Don't ask how I got here. Kind of sort of a werewolf. That's been happening. Fantastic roles have kept me in place, and gosh, I should probably clear a condition.
Fantastic. Thank you. And finally, last and least, is our factotum, Langfisk.
Hi there, my name is Wes Franks. My pronouns are they, he. I play Langfisk, whose pronouns are he, him. And he is the factotum in the employ of the undeniable Lord Bastion Grey, a bloke from down under in Australia who's come to London in the service of Lord Grey to protect him, even though Lord Grey makes that as hard as possible to do. But Langfisk is a bit of an everyman, a handyman, a fixer, a cleaner, always there to clean up a mess or make sure things get taken care of or things are happening, and also has a network of people that he can reach out to in his own employ to do things for him. So maybe we'll see more of that in London. He's already had to choke out a governess and fight off a legion of children. So we'll see what else Langfist is going to have to do in the service of Lord Grey.
Well, when you put it like that, fantastic. Thank you. All right. So that is Hargrave House. And normally we would kick off by recapping what happened last time and kind of catching up on the various active threats right now. But we're actually going to start instead with a little bit of narration. We have in this game a feature called the Janus Mask. It is it's a mechanic that allows us to learn a little bit about the characters through flashback. They're otherwise quite mysterious. And in exchange for that, they get to improve one of their die rolls. And we have some open Janus Mask on the table that is owed. I'm going to take a look here, and I think we'll start with Lord Grey. You have marked the Mask of the Past, which says at the moment, please narrate a flashback that shows when you cruelly discarded the artist that we have been learning about.
I think we start in Cecil's studio. It's dark, but it's massive and airy, and you can tell in the light this would be a place that feels really comforting and relaxing. And right now it's not. Because Lord Grey and Cecil are standing very close together, and they don't look pleased with each other. And behind them in the shadows, there is this massive portrait. We can see it's probably Bastion, but it already doesn't look a little right. It already looks off. And they're arguing in hushed tones that Bastion is increasingly getting less hushed. And Cecil is fretting, and he's just, I don't think this is moral. I don't think it's right. I'm telling, it's not an affront to you, but I think we should burn it. And at this, Bastion grabs Cecil's collar and pulls him closer. Says, if you touch this painting, if you make one edit, I will gut you where you stand. Do you understand me? And Cecil is near tears. And he says, this wouldn't have happened before. You know that, right? This isn't right. This isn't you. And Lord Grey lets go of Cecil. And Cecil, his whole weight having been held up, drops to his knees and stays there. And Bastion looks down at him and says, you don't know me at all. You just captured me for a moment, but I'm not yours. I'm not anyone's. And he turns and goes back to the painting and waits there and looks back at Cecil, and Cecil expected him to leave, and he's what you need to leave. I'm staying right here. And they just stay silent for a long time until Cecil pitifully scurries out of his own studio. And presumably, at least from Bastion's standpoint, he doesn't intend to speak to him again. He got what he needed.
Fantastic. Thank you. And we have some other Janus Mask prompts that need to be done. Rick Miller, we get to learn the very first thing about you. Please narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the high level of privilege you were born into.
So it is a late fall in Savannah, and Mom Miller decided to take her darling daughters into town to the tailors to get ready for winter, for coats, mittens, and such. Patricia's middle and younger sister are already inside, like cooing and awing over the different fabrics and new furs, while Mom Miller is outside chatting with a friend. And Patricia is also outside, not talking to the same person, but kind of like a ways away on the sidewalk, talking to a new friend. And by new friend, just a random stranger that they just found interesting. And in contrast, it's this dirty child around the same age, but clearly confused and amazed that somebody like Patricia is even talking to them. And they're just going on. Yeah, and then we have these horses. One's named Daffodil, and one's named Lilac, and they're just the most sweetest. You should come by soon. They're so nice. And she's already like given this person like a piece of bread and like dried meats they had stashed in their trousers, which are underneath their skirt, just in case they need to make a getaway. And just going on and on and on and on like 1,000 miles a minute until when it's time to actually go in for their fitting. Mom Miller notices what's going on and she is aghast. Uh, but she doesn't shoo her daughter away. She is like actively pushing at this little urchin to get away from her child. And Patricia, of course, is confused. She's trying to like help. It's like, no, this is my friend. This is, I don't know their name yet, but it's trying to make excuses and it's not happening. Unfortunately, it does escalate, and the tailor like starts shooing away the kid with a broom, and the kid tumbles into the street. Uh, Luckily, they do manage to scamper away before the horses are startled and a hoof meets their temple. But Pat just doesn't know what happened. They don't know why they couldn't make a friend with anyone. And they're rushed inside and they're put in their fitting and the hassle and ruffles and frills and such. And they keep going.
Thank you. Dr. Noxa Spectum, you are building a body in the clock tower of Hargrave House, and every now and then you get your hands on a body part and you rub your hands, you rub your hands into the guts or along the curve of the legs or whatever body part it is that you're using, and you think about the person you loved and lost. What have you been handling as of late?
We see Nox standing over the flesh terrariums that surround this watery pit he's been building this body inside of. The gravediggers brought him a fairly large package back last night that he has been submerging in them overnight, and we watch him kind of dip his hands deep in and pull out these two long legs with deep gashes on them that this flesh has filled in before he places them gently beneath the water, reverently, almost spiritually. And as he kind of looks into his own reflection in the water and looks down at this leg, all of a sudden we see another leg in the water as a body breaks the surface of a camp. We pan over a long dock and we see actually a lot of young male legs all aligned on the dock, watching In the distance, we see a number of parents cheering on as the end of season swimming competition is taking place at the boarding school that Knox is. All the parents have come in for the weekend to pick up their children, and it's kind of a large kind of set of competitions to kind of end the year. We don't see Knox in that lineup. We see in the reflection of a monocle, as we often do, him sitting in a lifeguard chair. And as a young man goes to jump in, another young man pushes him and he slips and he cracks his own leg. And quickly running across the dock, we see, in addition to Knox moving into action, Charles, the household valet, running and bringing a small bag to him, a bag that over time will grow and have many pockets added to it. As Knox jumps down and begins to put his hands along the leg, he's reaching up and grabbing from the bag that Charles is holding open a number of different ointments, a number of different bandages, and is starting to go ahead and very methodically, carefully set the leg, even at a young age. As it kind of snaps back into place and cracks, we hear yelling in the distance as we go back to that same watery image of Knox standing in the kind of late sun or the early sunlit windows of his hideaway in Hargrave House.
Thank you. It's the day phase, and the first thing we have to do in the day phase is...
I'll be right back.
Oh, sure. Introduce, or actually catch up, rather, on the threats that are active right now. So we have 3 active threats at the moment: the Limehouse Lurker, the Creature of Cremorne Gardens, and the Whately Camera. Right now, the Limehouse Lurker, this is the one with the wee vampire who is terrorizing the Limehouse district. And you have determined that even though the vampire is small, it is in fact quite old. And it has shown its power a number of times. It is capable of ensorceling gangs of grubby children. It has a gang of vampires, a nest of vampires that it can call upon. Those vampires attacked last night, and Hargrave House had to fend them off. This vampire is a big problem, except for everybody except for Knox, who's really is kind of like really intrigued by the vampire. They're having kind of a weird little thing going on between the two of them. In any case, you need to figure out, the question that you have right now to sort out with the Limehouse Lurker is very straightforward. Where is this vampire's nest? It's a complexity 4 that is going to allow you to resolve the threat once you answer it by infiltrating the nest and then destroying it or convincing it to leave London. So that is what's going on there. The Whately, or let's do the Cremorne Gardens. The Creature of Cremorne Gardens. This is the one where we have this like sort of pleasure garden, like kind of theme park kind of thing that is being terrorized by an alleged fish creature, a fishman creature. You still have not determined whether it's actually real. That's your initial question here. Is this actually like some horror from the deep, or is it like a hoax of some sort? And so that's where we're at with that. And the Whately Camera, we haven't done too much on that one yet, but this is an interesting and complex threat involving a camera that is alleged to be possessed, or it is itself some kind of entity. And there is evidence that people who are photographed with this camera disappear into another dimension. And you have a couple of questions here that you can, or you just have one question, but there's a couple of opportunities attached to them. And basically, you have to just figure out what circumstances will cause someone photographed by the camera to disappear. It's a complexity 8. And it allows you to resolve the threat by reversing that process and bringing back this actress who was gone missing because of the camera, we believe. Or you can use the camera's power to transport yourself to this other dimension and make contact with the entity. If you pursue that opportunity, you also get access to a new move. And so that is the deal with the Whately camera, there's this place called the Society Obscura where we think they have the camera right now, and we got to see a little bit of that last time. In particular, Rick Miller had was in flagrante delicto with Periwinkle, the houseboy at the Society Obscura, and Lord Grey was in a similar circumstance with the owners of the Society Obscura, and so that's what this Hargrave house likes to get up to. You have 4 mastermind clues right now. That's just our little progress tracker for the campaign. And most importantly, in terms of the recap at this moment, and a huge number of conditions on the table. Everybody except for for Langfisk has 3 conditions. And so it may be worth trying to get some of those cleared during the day phase. And so I'll remind you all of the vulnerable move. The vulnerable move, when you have a scene, an intimate moment with another hunter, just one other hunter, where one of you is engaging in your vice, you get to have that scene, try to clear a condition based off what happens in the scene, and then either stumble on a clue, or if it's your vice, you get to ask, you may ask the other player or the other hunter, or you may invite the other hunter to ask you a question about the past. And so these scenes are great to do in the daytime. Other things you can do in the day phase, of course, are investigating any of these threats that are active, or maybe setting up a scene to answer one of your dawn questions in the affirmative. So with all that said, I think I want to go around the table and see what everyone's interested in doing, and then we'll kind of figure out what these scenes look like. So I'll start with all of our 3 condition folk. Lord Grey, what are you thinking about for this this day phase?
Please God, anybody a vulnerable scene. Anyone. Just in general.
Indeed. If there's anyone interested in specifically having a scene with Lord Grey, let's speak up and let's do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep
anybody, baby,
anybody.
Always, absolutely. What do you need? Man, like when I'm right here. Like, that's what the money's for.
I love it. Be thinking about which vice is in play, and then we'll get that scene going. Knox.
Jason, the problem is I love all these conditions.
Hey, you know what? Just go investigate the threats. I'm okay with that. Do as you will.
I actually think so. I mean, obviously, you can role play the narrative implications of a condition without it existing. I think that I would love to have an overly invasive conversation with Rick about their supernatural experiences in some, but I don't know if Rick's open to that. Vyn, how do you feel about a weird monster maker and transforming werewolf having a conversation about the nature of your condition?
It sounds like a good up for folks, so let's do it.
All right. I don't have a preference for what's your vice?
It's opium.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I mean, you could head back to Jenny Johnston's and also be where you can do some investigating. So
I mean, there's also no conceivable point at which Knox also doesn't just have opium also too. So I mean, if we want to go back to Limehouse, we can. If we just want to have a conversation somewhere at Hargrave or somewhere else, I'm sure that Knox has opium.
Be thinking about it. So let's pick up this scene with Lord Grey and Langfisk then. Whose vice is in play, and what's the scene?
Well, I'm actually going to start with a question for Langfisk, because yours is betting shops. And I know you always defer to me, my lovely, lovely manservant, but I would like to know, is that ever going to be a thing you drag me to?
Yes, it is today. Yes. Because we got attacked by vampires. Not even Hargrave House is safe right now. So we have to keep you moving from locations to locations. So what we're doing is I'm going to, yeah, go ahead and get you moved. And we're going to go to one of my betting shops that are over near, oh boy, let's say it's like just conveniently over near the Thames, over near where that pub is, just in case if we want to pop around and go check that out. The Dog and Whistle, I believe it's called.
Oh, right. Yes, that is the Dog and Whistle. I love that so much. And I want you to know he's not dressed correctly for the space. It is like these extravagant, like just I what are those? Jacquard, I believe is how you say it. My Oklahoman ass is probably butchering it. But it's these just beautiful greens and golds and silk, and it's just it's he sticks out like a sore thumb. He is begging to be mugged.
I love it. It's good. So you're going to the Dog and Whistle then. That's really interesting. We haven't seen the inside of the Dog and Whistle yet. So before we begin the scene, let me talk about that just a little bit. So the Dog and Whistle is a bar with very dull brass fixtures. There's a stack of tin mugs on a fairly well-polished bar, actually, despite the fact the brass is quite dull. There's a painting of a dog that's quite prominent, but no whistle as far as you can tell. Let's paint the scene just a little bit, everyone. This pub, the Dog and Whistle, caters to sailors and folk who work at the canal. It's the daytime, so there's not many there right now. So how do we otherwise know that this is a sailor's pub?
It is obvious that a number of the planks of wood that make up this bar have been, over time as they've run it out, been pulled off and replaced with pieces of broken and decommissioned ships that folks have sailed on.
There's actual sailors' blackout trunk outside the establishment.
There's a sextant that is embedded inside one of the walls. And there is a plaque beneath it that says, "From a tip from our first customer."
And I think the one or two people you do see in there, they have bare arms and they are full of sailors' tattoos, real ones that show that they've been probably all over the world. There you go, exactly like that, Mothman and all.
Fantastic. The scene is yours. Try to angle your roleplay towards clearing conditions if that's something you hope to do. So
I'm going to move in and grab Lord Gray's cloak or jacket and take it and untie it, and then move the hair behind the ears and grab it and move it up so that it does not get ruined by me removing the coat. And then going to take that and hang it up. And then I'm going to direct Lord Gray to a table in the corner and then say, "1 minute, I'll be right back."
All right. And he looks very uncomfortable in this place because he's like, where the fuck did you just take me? But he will sit down and try to like survey surroundings. Look, and mostly trying to figure out where the hell you're going. That is not with me.
I will go to the bar, look at the bartender, and say, "Good night, mate. Reckon I might get 2 pints of the froth, and then you got any parlay slips?"
And yeah, they'll hand them over.
Thank you. And come back over to the table, sit down, and put a mug in front of you, and then take a parlay slip and say, "What do you think about, let's say, just take a look at the names, see which ones sound good to you, which one sounds smart to you, and then go ahead and take them. We'll put some money down on them, see if we can win something."
Is there a criteria I should be looking for? Or is this some sort of luck game? And for reference, I don't know what this is as a human being out of character. I don't know what kind of betting this is.
It is probably dog betting. There are like dog races, and so you would probably just pick who would be a winner. There'd probably be other parlays, other criteria to bet under, and they would all be next to names, and they would have ridiculous names like Soup Ladle or Grandma's Special Boy or something like that. Yeah, and so Langfisk just goes, whatever you're feeling, follow your heart, my lord, please.
Interesting. Um and he like looks through them and tries to pick the one that sounds vaguely distinguished in any way, shape, or form. It does end up being Grandma's Special Boy because the rest of them sound like items. And he's like, at least this one. Do you do this regularly, Langfisk? Is this a hobby of yours?
I could call it more of an art for myself, my lord. I like to think that I have a knack for studying people and their capabilities, but also their names, how they carry themselves, how they bet for themselves, and can typically pick a winner off of that. I'm really good at looking at people. I can tell a lot by them just by looking at them, how they carry themselves. So yeah, and I make a little bit of coin on the side. I lose a lot of coin on the side, and I meet some interesting people that tend to not be able to pay the coin they owe me, so they pay in other ways.
Fascinating. So why didn't you just pick? I do trust you after all. This is clearly your game of choice. Your name's Dog Soup Ladle.
Oh no! I cannot influence your betting, my lord. That would take away the spirit of the game. I can't tell you how to spend your money. Also, that's not my station. I'm not a financier.
It seems you're your own financier. As if you're, you know,
Indeed, for my own finances.
and
I'm
for
very
other
good with
people's.
numbers and letter writing, but not for other people's. No.
So you mean you're not breaking people's kneecaps to get their what they owe you?
No. I'm not a bookie. I'm just a bloke that likes to gamble. Uh, it's all done with respect, and it's done mostly for you to be able to make sure that services are rendered for you, making sure that you have everything that you need provided for. Um, it takes a village, as they say.
As they will say in about 120 years.
Langfisk is the first documented person to say this.
That's where Hillary got it
Just
from.
some Australian bloke said it one time.
In a shitty little bar.
I love it. It's great. Let's check in on these conditions and see if we think we've cleared any. Who wants to make the case for a condition here?
I mean, I think maybe time for roughed up would be it, unless you don't think it's been long enough.
I mean, it's probably fine. I mean, I think just I mean, it has been like just the next day, but
Mm-hmm.
because of actually maybe it's been a little bit longer than that because that was actually like 2 or it was like a day phase ago, right? In any case, it hasn't been too long, but you probably weren't hurt that bad, and probably just hanging out and decompressing with Langfisk helps. So yeah, you can clear that for sure. Langfisk, do you want to clear the hidden spaces?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and clear it. I think we need somebody above the board, maybe that can soak some conditions for everybody else.
I'm passing out like candy this campaign, so
Yeah, I'd say having Lord Grey out in public and everything, and interacting and doing things of a sort, promenading.
You are shaking the cage against hiddenness. Yes,
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
Yes, very good. And because it's your vice, Langfisk, you get to either invite a question about your past, or you can stumble on a clue.
Let me see here. Give me a clue. Give me a clue. You don't need to know about Langfist. There's nothing important about Langfist. So give me a clue.
Well, you and B can sort out the clue, but I will come back and get that from y'all, or maybe chat.
Yeah, chat. Give us a clue.
Chat,
if it's like Limehouse Lurker related, make it
something
vampire.
found in the bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go check in on Rick and Nox. So, what was the vice that was in play here again?
I think we're gonna do opium, but I have a pitch, Vyn, if you're open to it. Cool. So
Yeah,
I
let's
think Patrick, as you're Rick, as you're stumbling around the house, on this morning, you smell a familiar smell in the air. It's certainly opium, and it's certainly coming from the library.
Well, that's curious. He just kind of follows it, a little concerned as to why it's coming out of the library of all places, and just slowly opens the door.
You see Nox inside, and you can't quite tell what's happening. He's got a book open. He's obviously reviewing something in the middle of it. He has some opium burning, and you can also smell sage and a number of other herbs going. And it is very much obvious that this is a scientist's attempt to enact some sort of spiritual ceremony. Like, he is methodically and practically trying to turn something in a book he is reading into a ceremony of some sort, but it is 100% a bizarre and overly methodical, almost like acerbic and ironic interpretation of how to do this. But there is that sweet tang of opium mixed in with all those other herbs.
Is there like a title on the book, or is it just like old and gnarled?
Let's just go with old and gnarled.
Okay. Doc, this is a peculiar way to invite somebody, and they just kind of stride on in. Looking the ritual up and down, very confused.
Yes. Patrick, you've spent time on the frontier, yes?
How could you tell?
Well, I mean, you're American, but I mean also, and then kind of just indicates the mode of dress that you have going on.
Yes, I have a sense.
I am in everything there is a bit of science in every piece of lore, and every myth there's a kernel of truth, a thing that actually happened. And I find myself convicted in ways I have not felt before. I feel untethered yet strongly soothed at the same time, and it's the most unsettling thing that I can imagine.
I mean, maybe you should tell that to a priest. This sounds very confessional-like.
How? I don't mean to pry. How long have you been like this? I mean, is it recent?
In London, or you have to be a little
No,
specific?
and I don't want to be improper, Patrick. The change.
His brain kind of splits in two because there's two different directions that can go, and he goes with the less awkward one, which is surprisingly being a werewolf. I mean, it's not like hereditary. It was something that happened to me.
I don't need specifics. But I am concerned that something similar could happen to me.
What do you mean? Like you breathing the same air as me is not going to turn you into something you're not.
No, it frankly, you know what? How about will you sit with me for a moment? And he pulls the opium back and like sets it like it's in like a brazier, and he pulls it over so it's easy to like draft in and inhale, and he takes a deep whiff, obviously to kind of settle himself, and kind of indicates to a couple of chairs nearby. In all honesty, it's not that I'm concerned that proximity to you will push this further. I am hoping that your wisdom, your experience of what's happened to you might soothe this thing inside of me.
Doc, I respect you. You seem to be a very straightforward, grounded person. So this, you need to open up a little bit more if I'm going to be able to help you. What are you talking? What nature or creature or being is giving you the runaround?
I almost died, Patrick. And when I did, I saw things that I cannot fathom, and there was something more beyond that space, and I have no clear grasp of what it was, but it's wrapped itself around me, and it seems to be following me, whatever it is. And I can feel the coldness in my throat, and I can feel it wrapping around my bones. And I know that there is something that has become tethered to me. And he just takes another deep hit of that opium.
Yeah. I think Rick is finally settled and also like taking a hit off of it and just like takes a clearer breath. See, that wasn't so hard. Now it makes sense. I mean, I think you've picked the right place. We can start researching, start talking to some spiritualists. Just like trying to piece together a perfect answer, and it's not necessarily coming as fast as he wants it to, but it's his best attempt to be comforting in the situation.
Yeah. And every time you bring up spiritualist, even though that's explicitly what Knox is asking for, he scoffs as if that's the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. But yeah.
I love it. Do we want to check in on the conditions now?
Yeah. I don't know. I am also willing. I also don't know if we want to push any further for anything. Is there anything that Knox can do? Like, I feel like that was very Knox centric. Is there anything that you need to clear a condition, Vyn, that you want to push to in the conversation?
I mean, I don't know. I think that was
Rick's are hard.
Yeah,
Rick's hard conditions.
And I'm like,
they're hard. Yeah, they're all really hard conditions to clear. So I mean, it's not. I don't know.
Let's put it this way: I owe you a removal condition, if nothing else. So feel free to just hit me up if there's something you feel like you can push Knox into a conversation or action about that's helpful.
Okay. I mean, well, so Knox, what do you think though? Like, I mean, how are you feeling about yours?
Yeah, I actually, so I was aiming for the spiral is what I'm trying to release.
Yeah, I'm into that. I think that makes sense based off how that conversation went.
Because that one came from that moment, and then I was doing all the wrapped around me. Yeah. Though I just kind of want to evolve the third drop in the spiral into something else, but
fantastic. Love that. Well, I mean, Rick Miller, you've got the Hidden Moon, Sons of Another World, and Marked by Periwinkle. I mean, we can keep the scene going after we come back in a minute. If you can think of an angle to clear one of these, that Hidden Moon one is a real particular nasty bit of business. So
I will throw out, I do have some ectoplasm I'm happy to throw into this scene and burn for your benefit, if that's helpful, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I do have it.
Well, I don't. Well, how would that help?
Because I don't know. I'm just throwing out things I know are on my character sheet that Vyn could be like, hey, what are we doing?
Listen, I'll
So-
keep trucking. I think that was just
Cool.
containing itself a very good scene between them.
I think it was
fun.
pretty good. Yeah, yeah. Let's we'll keep thinking on it.
Wait,
Okay.
Buff, are you trying to smoke ectoplasm right now, bro?
I know, like, what's going on?
Maybe
The
maybe
ectoplasm.
smoking ectoplasm grounds your spirit to this world and blocks off the multivalent realities that
Oh,
other
there we
people look through.
go.
I'm just saying, I don't
Clearly.
know.
This is the subject of Knox's next paper.
I'm telling you, I'll try it if it was, if it's going to have me see different realities and bring them together in a more convalescent way to perceive them. You know,
Bro, I'm on the ectoplasm pack.
I mean, I suppose you can make kind of a case of like just the mere fact of being high on opium maybe like helps you like clear like or get in tune with some of these more strange spiritual things going on with Rick. But
I mean, if you would let me clear Sons of Another World, because I was like inhaling the Sun Mask guy's fumes.
And I am
That's
literally
true.
I'm literally happy to mark ectoplasm and say we did some weird extra
Yeah,
shit
that was our
as a
attempt.
yeah, I'm actually kind of into it. Yeah, you don't need to mark it. I mean, just the fact you have it is
Okay.
enough. But I do like this if you're into it, Vin. I do like the idea of Knox like spiking the opium with this like matter,
yeah.
and it has some sort of like effect on how you perceive like, you know, how'd you describe it, Tony? Like some sort of like
It
spectral
grounds their spirit to this reality
yeah,
more
exactly
deeply
right.
to block
Yeah,
off
yeah.
the convalescent realities of other worlds, right?
I think
So-
it's super cool. I think you should clear Sons of Another World.
Literally, I was setting up the ceremony so in part so that there was weird shit we could throw in potentially to get some of Vin's stuff or Rick's
I'm
stuff.
super
it's
into it.
taking many and putting into one brother. All
Yeah.
right, just put into one brother. You got to just relax.
Rick, you get to, because it's your vice, you get to either stumble on a clue or you get you can invite Knox to ask you a question about the past. So
You know, we've been gathering clues all this time, but I'll offer a question if you would like.
Yeah.
think on it, Tony. Think on it.
Yeah, I think that's also good given the tone of the conversation. We can give people a little bit
I think so.
from that.
Yeah. Be thinking on it. We'll come back to Lord Grey and Langfisk. So, what's the chat? How did chat come through, Langfisk, on on the clues?
I want to say, and Lord Grey, please feel free to overrule me. You have final say over this. You have veto power. I really enjoyed Retrofitters, a flip book showing monsters coming out of the water.
That's
I
kind
think
of
that was a
interesting.
very
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
one to find in a bar.
In a bar, yeah.
Super fun. I also like that. I think, and it could just be like somebody left it on the counter.
Also, that could be for Cremorne Gardens. I'm assuming it's for
Exactly.
Cremorne Gardens,
I
right?
would have to.
It could be, but I also think it could tie into our Vampiro problem as well because of, I think, the question for it. I
The
believe.
question,
Yeah,
well, the
'cause
question's
where-
like, where's it
where are
at?
they?
Yeah, where's it at?
Yeah,
So-
so I
yeah.
think that could be, monsters coming out of the water. Does it have an underwater? Does it have like
a little
a
aquatic
sewer?
nest. Yeah,
An
Ooh,
aquatic
a sewer.
nest?
it did hunt a sailor. So that could
Water
be its next-
vampires.
Yeah.
A broken down boat? Who knows?
Intriguing. Okay, I love it. Somebody go ahead and note that clue, and I'm going to check in on the two characters then. So, Lord Grey, do you want to keep searching around Limehouse for more clues, or do you have something else in mind?
Actually, I wanted to use Giveth and declare that one of these sailors is somebody who's a part of my
Oh.
cult. I don't know if Langfisk even knows about this shit, but like,
I like it. I will give you a sailor. There's not too many sailors in there right now, but there
or
is.
any patron.
Yeah, there's currently in the bar. There is there's Franklin Horsford, who is the owner of the pub. There is an old woman that you've noticed. Her name, you can learn her name is Elma. She has unkempt gray hair, and she's wrapped really tightly in a blanket, and she keeps complaining about how cold it is while she nurses like this single beer she's had the entire time she's been there. And then there is a sailor as well, a Chinese sailor. So possibly there's a chance that maybe he knew the dead one. But that is who's in there right now. So what do you think?
I think with the angle of what I was going to use as a gift, I think I'm actually going to approach Elma, the old woman,
Okay.
with the cloak that Langfisk took off of me, which I'm gonna like the item I can actually like mark is the fabulous extensive wardrobe. I clearly have it. I just can't mechanically use it anymore. Um,
I love it. So probably Elma, you probably cut the kind of a figure that stands out in a place like this, even more so because the bar is kind of empty.
yeah.
But she turns around and she's been just griping about the cold the whole time. Her back's been a little bit turned to you. You know, she's, you know, at one point, Franklin Horsford is like, uh, he's like, how much longer are you going to be, nursing that beer, Elma? And Elma like kind of, pulls the blanket tight and she's like, I'll finish my beer when you put a better seal on these windows, and she's, they're kind of going back and forth like this for a minute. Right. And, and then, when she sees you, I think she's getting ready to like yell another complaint and she stops, she stops like, oh, and her voice kind of catches in her throat a little bit. What do you say?
Before I approach her, she might see me first just because I'm this garish figure in a sailor's dive bar, but I've went and grabbed the cloak off of the hook and I've approached her. And even as she's turned to me, I do almost a mirror of what Langfisk did for me and put it over her shoulders. As Langfisk looks on disapprovingly. And just, hello, darling. I thought you looked cold.
Darling? No one's called me darling in probably 2 decades. I'm no one's darling anymore.
Oh, tragic. They really should.
Oh, you're just kidding now. And she kind of laughs a little bit,
Listen, Elma, right?
Yes, that's my name. The name my accursed mother gave to me when I was ripped out of her.
I can sympathize with that. Now, Elma, darling, do you know who I am?
A fine, dandy little lord, as best I can tell.
That I'm trying to think of a way she would know who, like, to declare her a worshiper.
Oh,
yeah, that's the angle, is to use Giveth and declare her a worshiper.
I love
and
it.
I was like,
So we're doing Giveth here then.
Oh yeah, we're doing Giveth.
I'm into it. I mean, you have to tell me how she recognizes you, and then
Ooh.
debases herself in the scene suddenly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that instead, like, she doesn't know maybe even my face, but she knows I flash a sigil ring.
Oh,
and
good.
She understands, like, she might be a peripheral person.
A dawning realization.
Some of these people have never seen my face.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, on purpose, have not seen my face.
I love it. So what does she do once she realizes?
I think she sort of gasps and sort of mutters these, like, crude apologies, like, because she's clearly not someone who likes to apologize or even seem deferent. And I just, no. It's fine. You're fine. How could you know, poor thing? And I would just like something from you. And
she's like, she gets very quiet. Yes, my lord, of course, anything. I apologize for being so flippant earlier.
No. You're perfectly fine. We're looking for someone, and I think that they might need a little encouragement coming out from their hiding place. Do you think you could help us with that? I want to use this woman as bait.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Oh, intriguing. So by giving her the cloak, she will do anything you ask. She can give you just straight up information, or if you want her to go do something more dangerous, she'll do it.
Oh yeah, I want to user as bait.
I love
And
that. Yeah, it's good.
for the vampire.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good. Um, I'm super into it. I think the way I'm going to interpret this then for Giveth is
Ding, ding.
anytime. Well, let's read the move. Make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
I promise I wrote this. So basically, whenever you make a gift, they'll do exactly as you say. No questions asked. If you demand information, it can come in the form of a clue. Okay, great. I love that. So what I'm going to do is essentially I'm going to let her be like a personal quarters item. So whenever
Oh,
you get
sick.
ready to put her in danger, you can mark her, so to speak, and get advantage on the rolls. So
Beautiful. Thank you. We love this.
Langfus, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm going to use my person Friday to cut off her when she leaves. No, I'm kidding.
I thought you were serious.
I'm gonna hold that old lady up against the brick. I'm gonna give her a Chelsea grin. Don't you dare ever talk to my lord like that again.
Give me that cloak.
No, I'm actually going to make my way over to the other sailor. There's a point where Langfisk is seeing this and just like, this is excessive, and then just like walks over to this and like with the pint and sits down.
It's like not even noon, and he's so drunk already. So yeah.
Who, my favorite kind of person.
Mhm.
Shout out service industry. What up? Yeah.
He's very, very drunk. Like he's his eyes are really glassy. He's wearing his little like sailor hat askew. He's not even supposed to be wearing it, but he's wearing it and it's askew. He looks like he would be handsome, and if not for his slightly dingy sailor's whites and his somewhat briny smell and the fact that he's incredibly drunk, he would probably be a bit of a catch. But he's just like sort of clearly like kind of drowning something in drink right now. What do you do? Oh, you're muted.
Fancy for an ear to pour out to your sorrows there, mate.
This is what? I'm sorry. What? Who is? I don't know who you are.
You can call me Longfish there, mate. Yeah, it's a funny name, ain't it? You seem to I'm kind of a funny fella, and I noticed that you seem to be down in the spirits, down in your cups. I wanted to see if you wanted to bend my ear about it, see if I could help you out. Take the load, whatever you're bearing. It seems to be quite heavy.
Make the information move with presence.
Thank you. That is a 9.
A 9. Okay, I owe you a clue. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's check in on Rick and Knox, see what that question's going to be that Knox is going to pose, and then we'll wrap up that scene, and then we'll have our first break.
I think we see Knox like we get the sense Knox has shifted into more like, even through the haze of the opium, a more analytical frame of mind, like thinking specifically about your and he starts asking you a series of questions about how your senses, like if you've noticed any difference in your senses, and gets a little bit too close to your eyes, and probably reaches out to almost prod one and then thinks better of it. And then wants to know what you remember from your transformation, and what your earliest memory from a time you transformed was.
Rick remembers lying in a field one morning, just the cicadas screaming, frogs, birds, everything, and being very happy in life. And then a breeze rolls in and shivers and realizes that not only is he in the buff, he's also wet with blood. And the panic sets in that he may have hurt someone. But luckily, in the distance, miles away, but he can still smell the wet meat and bone of a deer. Maybe two from the night before. And just remembering that awful dread and instant relief. But unfortunately, there's another predator on the loose.
You just hear it. Interesting. We'll have to measure the canines sometime. Like as he like makes a note.
I love it. I love it. That's great. All right, so let's take our first break of the night. We'll take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, we'll do a couple more day phase scenes. So we'll see you all in a bit.
We'll be back in just a few minutes to keep on playing The Between. If you have not yet, after our next break, we will do our giveaway. So if you haven't yet, head over to Twitter or on Blue Sky or wherever. Share your favorite memory from one of the first 3 or 4 episodes of our actual play series. We'll announce that winner after our second break. And we're back.
All right. Langfisk. This sailor's name is Lin Bohai. You'll learn that much from him. I'm going to start with the complication here. You will notice on Lin Bohai's left hand, he has what is clearly a woman's ring on. It's on his pinky, because that's the only finger it'll fit on. And it is a sapphire. It is a much smaller, but really, really similar stone to the one that Mrs. Brathwaite wears around her neck. Why would this sailor, this drunken sailor, have such a fabulously valuable thing on his hand? We wonder. But that might be a good entree into the conversation. So what do you say?
I'm going to put on a mask.
Oh, interesting.
I can't deal with her right now.
Interesting indeed. Very well.
Look, Langfist doesn't have the kind of tolerance.
I love it. Okay, well, in that case, do go ahead and mark your Janus mask, whichever one you're going to mark. That will make your result
for everybody.
I love it. Oh, everybody gets to do this. Let's read it out so that everybody knows what's going on, including viewers. So the Mask of the Sun is one of the threat aspects of the Janus mask, and this is for the Limehouse Lurker. So as long as the hunter is investigating Limehouse Lurker, this one is available. It can be marked once, and it is now marked, and it says, each hunter narrates a dream they once had of primordial earth, back in time across the ancient seas, back in time when the spirits walked, when the sun was new and the old gods held court. That is what we think of the sun. Be thinking on it. We'll have a little moment for that later on. Instead, you get your clue free and clear. We still need to get the conversation going, though. So he's drinking, and he's clearly upset about something. I think it won't take much. We don't have to RP this part. You can figure out pretty straightforwardly that he was friends with Xiaodong Hai, and I think maybe even more than friends with Xiaodong Hai, which is why he's taking it so hard. His death, that is. So, what do you do?
Listen, mate. It seems that your time is it's been pretty rough on you, and I'd like to offer you some solace. Okay, I'd like to give you some care, some comfort. So, I've got a friend of mine that might be able to help you out, give you some little bit of rest, relaxation, let it all out and everything. But maybe you do something for me.
Okay.
I want to help you figure out who did that to your friend. And I think I have a clue on who, but I need you to tell me everything that you know about this, okay?
Yeah, good. So their ship has been pulled in port basically since shortly before the murder. Their captain has an interest in figuring out what happened, wants to get Scotland Yard involved, wants to invoke various treaties that have been made between China and Great Britain at this time, and Jenny Johnston won't let him. And so there's a bit of a consternation between the ship, Jenny Johnston, and the other like sort of community leaders of Limehouse, as it were. That's really not going to help you in your investigation. That's all just stuff going on in the background. What he will say is, I'm the one who found him. I found Xiaodong Hai when he was, well, when he was the way he was, dead. He was so excited to be here. We had some really good times those first few days in port. I've been asking myself over and over again, like, what could have happened? What sort of person or thing could have done that to him? But there's something I remember. Something I remember and something I've seen every night since. And he tells you about a swarm of bats. A swarm of bats that he has seen hovering over certain parts of the city. And you can detail that whenever you get ready to answer the question, but essentially this bat swarm might be the key to honing in on the nest. So what are you going to do for me?
Okay, mate.
Are you handing him a copy of Madame Morvaine's?
No. I think long and hard, and I look, mate. I don't give this name out to just anybody, but there's a friend of mine by the name of Elsie. She's a comfort lady. She'll I know that you're on shore for a little bit and everything. You go ahead and you go find her. I'll give him the address, and you tell her that I sent you, and she'll help you out, mate. She'll get you sorted, get you nice and comfortable, just get you relaxed away from all that. How does that sound?
He says, well, sure, but if I understand what you're proposing correctly, I think she's maybe not to my taste, your Elsie.
Oh. Well, Lynn, right?
Hmm.
You need a place to crash, a place to rest your head, some place to be comforted, right?
Oh, you mean comfort in the very literal sense?
I mean it in a lot of different senses, mate.
Hmm. Okay. Well,
I'll give you an address to where I'm staying. You can go ahead and crash in my place. I'll take care of you. I'll make sure that you're protected. And I'll make sure nothing happens to you. All right, mate?
if you tell him where Hargrave House is, I assume that's what you're doing.
Yeah, the servants' entrance.
Oh yeah. He'll know the city well enough to know that Belgrave Square is that's like big time. That's where like lords and members of parliament live, right? Like it's so he'll kind of like be a little shocked by that. But Lord Grey, what are you doing with Elma Thorpe at the moment?
Well, not realizing that Langfisk has invited a random sailor to Hargrave House, but don't worry about it. At least he's hot. No, right now I have given Elma like a calling card, which is actually also to Hargrave House, but to me specifically. And I've told her that I'll call on her when I need her. And she'll know. I'll know.
She leans in before you go and she kind of takes your hand and she says, my lord, there's one more thing. And she lets go of your hand, realizing that she's probably overstepped a boundary, but she says,
Thank you.
You and your man are not the first well-dressed people to come into this bar asking about, well, the events of recent days.
Who else? Do tell me, darling. It's quite important.
And at this point, she kind of leans back and you see she's wearing a little sapphire ring on her hand.
I'm not doing anything different. Fuck. In fact, actually,
You have no dice on the table.
not only do I not have any dice on the table, I think, in fact, in character, this pisses me off enough that I am even more determined to get this woman killed.
Indeed. That's a mastermind clue. So you're welcome. and just to put on the radar that Theodora has been here. So let's now cut over to the other group. Actually, let me just see what is going on. Rick Miller, what do you want to do after you're done? After you're done smoking with Dr. Spectum? Oh, you're muted then.
I was muted. I would really like to go apologize to Periwinkle for standing him up.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Knox, what about you?
I mean, Nox is just, as in classic Nox faction, is just going along with whoever he is with to wherever they are going, and will be immediately confused about why they're there when they get there. So
You haven't been to the Society of
I haven't
Skura
yet.
yet.
It's my favorite thing to do. Is the session after a threat gets introduced, I'll show up and be like, "Why the hell are we here again?" It's my favorite thing.
I love it. When you arrive at the Society Obscura, Mr. Miller, Knox in tow, do you just walk straight up and ring the bell, or walk in, or what do you do?
He told me about like the back entrance.
Oh, okay, very good. Yes. We did have some suggestive conversations going on, if I recall correctly, in the water closet. Yeah. I think you actually spy him from a window before you even can say or do anything. He is in the middle of changing. He's getting dressed. And he's changing into what appears to be like a kind of Louis XIV era costume, powdered wig, and he's like putting on like powdered makeup, and the little satin coat, he's doing another costume change. He's not aware of you, but you and Knox are outside the window.
Okay.
What do you do?
Doc, if you can do me a favor and actually go in from the front, I'm just gonna take this one.
You turn around to say this, and Knox has actually just wandered off that direction already. Like totally, like
Great
more so
job,
that I
Doc.
kept on walking to the front door as you and you turned it, and I'm just already walking that way absentmindedly.
So Knox, what do you do?
I open the door and go in. I have no.
Yeah, it's kind of a quasi-public place in a way, so no one will really stop you. It's as I described before. There's this kind of lovely entry hall. You see these doors, which are all labeled with the various names of the rooms, each of them being artistic photography studios. What do you do when you walk in, Knox?
I turn and I say, "Why
There's
are
nobody
we
around.
What did we? Hello?" And I'm gonna walk to the closest door and open it.
If you call out, Periwinkle will call from the back. Oh, just a moment. Rick, Periwinkle's about to walk off. What do you do?
They'll play with the element of surprise. Once Periwinkle leaves from the view of the window and goes to attend to Knox, that's when he goes in.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So you're in the rear of the space. It looks like it used to be like a kind of kitchen sort of thing, but they don't really use it here at the Society Obscura, so it's mostly just extra storage. What do you do?
I'll peruse the storage, just pick through things. I know we found that script, so any effects or items from that actress, if that's possibly
Make the information move with reason.
All right. That's a 10.
10. Dice are very kind today. Good. We'll come back to that in a moment. Knox, Periwinkle comes out. He looks like he's just like he's ready to like serve drinks at Versailles or something, like covered in like, you know, satin breeches, the whole business, waistcoat, and he's kind of wobbling around on quite high-heeled shoes. And he says, hello. Are you here? Are you here for a session?
And you like Knox is just so used to there being somebody there for him to lean on in this moment. He's like, is there a body that needs to be examined here?
Periwinkle looks at you a little suspiciously because he's not sure if you're doing that thing that everyone does at the Society Obscura where they say one thing and they definitely mean another thing that's related to sex. And so he's looking at you like, possibly.
Oh, okay. I'm here. I had an associate. We were here to help examine the body.
Oh. Okay. Whose body were you here to examine?
Anyone who's... I mean, any dead body you have is fine.
I think this is... I don't think this is the... I don't think you're supposed to be
Patrick
here.
was just here, and I
Who's
don't
Patrick?
know where they went. My friend, American, So Tall describes Rick vaguely.
Oh, you're a friend of Rick Miller.
Yes, I was going to come and help with the investigation. I should have started with this. I'm here to help with the investigation.
The only thing that needs to be investigated, the only mystery that's lingering in the air right now is why Rick Miller stood me up last night.
Oh, it was the assault for sure.
He says, an assault? What? Well, wait, are they okay? Did something happen?
They're doing better. They're somewhere here, I swear.
And he starts looking around like, well where? And Rick, I don't know if you can hear any of that, but you're poking around. Let me give you your clue real quick before we forget it. Let's see here. Very, very good. You see a very strange thing in the back. Amidst like crates and old disused copper cookware and rolled up carpets and all manner of like fake potted plants just kind of piled up, ready to be moved around to different photography scenes. There's also an albino peacock in a crystal cage. That's your clue. Why would they have such a thing? It must be relevant. And it just does whatever. I don't know what kind of noise peacocks make, like or something. I don't know. And then
that's a spot. Do you have a peacock button? On
was that good?
There?
Yeah.
What do you do, Rick?
I think it's very interesting. I took a very perfect move for the situation.
Oh, you have the talking.
Yay!
I know. I'm so
I have the
excited.
awakened soul.
Look at me being an accidental, thoughtful keeper. Good. I love that. Well, what do you
do? I mean, as plain as day, as if talking to a person. Hi. Hello.
Good. Let's go ahead and read the move for the sake of viewers. So this is an American move. It's called the Awakened Soul. It says, you are sensitive to the desires and behaviors of animals. When you encounter an animal, you may ask the keeper, what does this animal want me to do? The keeper will answer truthfully and completely. When you act on the answer or pursue a course of action in which an intuitive understanding of animals' behavior would be helpful, you can also take rolls at advantage. And so if you pose the question, what what the peacock wants. The peacock wants, we'll keep it simple. The peacock wants to be fed.
Is there any food in the kitchen? Stale bread, beans, lentils, anything?
There's probably like a pack of old crackers or something.
Yeah, just take them and crush them up and like sprinkle them at the bottom of the cage.
Yeah, the peacock, pecks around at them, as best it can. It doesn't fit super well in this cage. It doesn't have a lot of movement, but it's enough to like dip its head down and eat the crumbs. Then what?
Jeez, I don't know. Um, can you answer a question for me?
I'll let you do the information move on the peacock if you
Okay.
can describe for me what the communication is like, because I imagine it's not the sort of thing that's like, I mean, it doesn't talk, so it
Yeah,
might
yeah, yeah.
communicate in some way, some other way.
I think it's like a series of cooing and preening, just like sitting. And I don't know what peacocks are like. The fucking Bachelor, anyway. Yeah, just the chittering, cooing, and maybe some scratching. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting. Make the die roll with sensitivity, and let's
uh-huh.
see if there's going to be anything useful to be learned here.
Okay. Oh boy, big money, no whammies. An 11.
Nice. You're going to get your clue in the form of basically making physical contact with the albino peacock and getting like a glimpse of what it has seen. We'll come back to this in a moment, though. Okay, so Langfisk, what's going on right now?
Well, just to kind of clarify and tie up everything that happened with Limbo High after getting that clue, went ahead and in a neat little bow sent Limbo High. That is an intent to add him to the informals, because there is
I like it. Good. Yeah.
informals move to. So yeah, I've just taken a new roommate. So
he's done being a sailor anyway. I think he probably followed Zhao Dong Hai, and now he loves London. He's over it, and
yeah, he can be he's the type of cat that can, like, observe things, get into places that most of the other informals probably can't get into. So that'll be great. A little addition. Langfisk, does Langfisk see Lord Grey?
And does Lord Grey show Langfisk that ring, or make Langfisk aware of it?
I don't think because I think my initial thing is to maybe want to even just grab her hand and be like, "You motherfucker." But I know better. That doesn't serve me in the moment. And the only reason I think I don't do it is because I know she'll be good bait now. But I will. You see me sort of disengaging with this woman and leaving my cloak on her shoulders and turning heel and going towards you. I will tell you about this ring, not here. When we're out of the building, but I will tell you.
We'll just nod, pay the tab, and leave.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you're outside the bar. Go ahead and have the scene.
What's the problem? What seems to be the issue, my lord?
Well, there wasn't going to be one. She's very useful, I assure you. But I think she might belong to someone else, too. A certain Theodora Brathwaite.
Would you like for me to dispose of her in the alleyway?
Oh, you know just what to say. No, don't worry. I'll dispose of her very, very soon. I think she'll be good bait.
What do you need me to do?
Nothing right now. Don't worry. Do tell me about that gentleman you were speaking to. Did you get anything interesting out of him?
Yeah, rumors of large swarms of bats over certain parts of the city. It's something to look into. A bit of information. Went ahead and I'm going to be adding him to a list of attendants around Hargrave House, if you don't mind. I think it'd be nice to have a little pair of extra hands around the house.
Oh, not at all. He was rather handsome. I don't mind.
Really, I hadn't noticed.
Come on, Langfisk. Don't lie to me.
No lies, my lord.
Really fascinating. You are an interesting man, Langfisk.
Do you wish for me to find him handsome?
No, that's fine. Not now.
Of course. Well, I shall be on standby. I'll give Overwatch just in case I need to step in. There is one thing that I should probably check in on near Cremon Gardens, but I'll be around.
All right. Go ahead. I can handle myself. Don't worry.
Do you need me to make sure that you make it to the handsome cabin?
Oh, no. I'm fine. But I do appreciate you, Langfist. Go do your whatever you do.
Right away, my lord.
I am curious, Langfist, what did you have in mind?
I'm going to be heading to Cremorne Gardens to get a little bit of I want to do some digging. I want to get into like the nitty gritty of the play. I want to look behind the scenes of it and see if there's anything going on.
I like it. I like it. I think it's really good. I think it's a great way to spend the rest of your day phase. You can just give me a information move with reason, and I'll let that kind of dictate where the scene goes.
That is an 11.
Nice. We'll come back and I'll give you a clue, tell you what you find, and let's do a little bit more in the Society Obscura, and then that'll be day phase for Rick and Knox as well. So, Knox, Periwinkle is kind of like, trying to figure out what's going on. What had you asked him? You'd said something to him before we cut away.
I'd vaguely implied that there was assault. I'd said,
oh, right. Yeah.
Rick was somewhere around. I was being very vague and just kind of wandering about.
Yeah, I like that. Like, I like the idea of you just ignoring Periwinkle.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm
doing
very like. I'm supposed to have another person here, or know that there's a body, or someone's supposed to point me at something.
I mean,
don't
there
know.
is that room that nobody at Hargrave House who's been here has talked about yet because they didn't go in there, called the Astral Plane room.
I also recall, as a player, I recall there's a move that you only paint the scene if you have the Cosmic Passage marked. Is that same room, or is there a different
That's
room?
the Olympus room. Did you want to wander in there? Do you have the Cosmic Passage
I do.
marked?
It was the first thing I matched because my playbook, it's just a good thing to do. And so
I like that.
Let's wander in there first as I wander around.
As you wander in there, it is it's as I described before, except there's no one in there. It is decorated to look like Olympus, or as some sort of artistic rendering of Olympus. It's like a sort of a sort of Renaissance era painting come to life, right? You have sort of columns, not sure if they're Doric or Ionic. I never remember the difference. Mural painted with like blue sky and white clouds and thunderbolts in the distance, and there's all sorts of like paper mache like mythological creatures, Pegasi and things like that, right? But also, let's paint the scene. This place, because of the presence of the Waitley camera, is a strange place. It is a place where the veil is thin. And so my question for the paint the scene is, how do we know the gods are actually watching Nox right now.
There's a soft twinkle from the paintings, the irises of the eyes, their gaze heavy.
Nox, you can taste electricity in the air like the sky before a storm.
Asclepius, I believe that's how you pronounce it. There is a mural where he is included, and he seems to look at Nox with a discerning kind of pondersome look, and then goes back to blending in with the mural.
The poorly gilded, somewhat flaking paint for a second glows with iridescent radiance.
I'm not sure Nox is aware of any of that.
I wonder if he just smells the ozone. I wonder
Yeah,
if
maybe.
I wonder if they have the house wired in some way, shape, or form.
That would really be something.
And then I am just going to walk down the hallway towards the one room we haven't gone.
You just leave and go.
Just
You go to the
sneaks
astral
in,
plane
get
room.
viewed by the gods, dismisses it entirely, and walks down the hallway.
I love it. I love it. Let me give you your Rick. Let me give you your clue really quickly. What you view in the mind of this peacock, and it's very, very weird. The peacock has its head is filled with math. At this point, you'll hear Periwinkle say, "Well, if you want to just follow me, or just go in there, that's fine too." And he turns around. He turns around and he's clopping in his fancy shoes back to the back. What do you do, Rick?
I think he pulls away and just squints, and suddenly there's like so many math equations floating across his head. It doesn't.
But when you look at
the
the albino peacock, it's just blank stare, right? Like they're the dumbest of God's creatures, right? I mean,
but beautiful. We know dumb and beautiful,
yeah.
don't we?
Dumb and beautiful. Yeah.
And I think it is the sound of Periwinkle's shoes that brings him back to the present, and just follows the sound and just goes.
He stops and says, he sees you. He crosses his arms and he says, "I'm mad at you."
Oh, you can't be mad at me.
I am mad at you.
For how long?
A really long time. It's going to take a lot for me to not be mad at you.
As long as you are beautiful, then that'll be a long. And I think with every long, he's striding closer and closer.
Mm-hmm. And he's like really, really close to you. And he says, "You think this is going to work, don't you?"
Oh, absolutely, I do. I'm so confident in myself. It's actually contagious.
Well, fine. And he will retreat into a nearby closet with you if you are so inclined.
Wow, that easy. Just struts on it.
Indeed. There's Rick Miller's day phase sorted. I'll check in briefly with Nox and then we'll wrap the phase. Nox, I want to just talk about the astral plane room. It is a very strange room, painted in dreamy grays and silvers. This is a paint the scene for everybody, players and chat. There are objects in the astral plane room arranged all over that seem to be from another world or time. Please describe one.
Um, oddly, what looks like the 4 feet of the piano in the, I think is it the library or the music room at Hargrave House, are sticking out of one of the walls.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah.
Okay. In the same vein of collected pieces from Hargrave, the rest of that werewolf body, there was a head mounted, and now you have a taxidermied werewolf with no head.
I think there is a stone like altar, like just a piece of it, like it's almost clipped into the wall and the floor, and a bronze dagger laid on top. And there, if you look close enough, that might be blood.
There's a chair in a corner. It seems what we would know as the audience would know as like a director's folding chair. And sitting on it are these cue cards that talk about some kind of lumberjack and friends in a forest. It's odd.
Very odd indeed. Let's see what you got, chat. Okay, here we go. From Chaotic, there's a silver mirror with a ruby pommel. Its reflection is cloudy, but if you look carefully, there seems to be someone else's reflection in it. Whose reflection do you see, Knox?
I see the reflection of my mother's brother, the ghost that I saw when I was young, but he's alive and aged to the age he would be if he was still around.
Fantastic. You wouldn't know how to recognize them, but there are Martian constellations, we'll say, sort of painted on the walls. This comes from Retrofitter. One of them is Sadet Indes, the Hunter, for scholars of Martian cosmology out there. If you're going to be looking around here, Knox, I'm happy to give the information move. It will be with sensitivity.
That's
Are
fine.
you doing that?
Yeah, I am.
Fantastic. Go ahead and make that roll.
That's going to be an 11.
Nice. Fantastic. I'll go ahead and give you your clue now. As you're looking around, I'm curious because I made it a sensitivity roll. How are you actually experiencing this room?
It's interesting. So I think there is still somewhat like in the haze of sage and opium kind of dangling off my clothing still. In an absent-minded way, I've been walking and wandering around the room. And I think we've been seeing Nox without even realizing it, reaching out and doing that staccato rapping he does when he examines a body. Sometimes a little bit slowly on a wall, he'll walk over, and it's very clear to us watching him from outside that he is just kind of taking the room in. And the fact that he is lost in this moment and without a driven purpose is actually what allows him to be open to whatever you're about to tell me.
Indeed. I think what you find it because you're able to hear it. Not really hear it, it's more like you feel it. You can actually feel vibrations in the air. These would be subtle, imperceptible to most people, but you are drawn to an object in this collection. of these strange things arrayed around the room. There is a bronze pyramid on a pedestal. It is warm to the touch. It vibrates to the touch. It has no apparent source of power. It's unclear how it could be doing such a thing. It is a wonder. And it is filled with energy. And that is your clue.
Is it fixated in this room?
Like, can you take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take it. You
Yeah.
can have it. You can even put it in your personal quarters.
Next to my jar of ectoplasm.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I think that's going to do us for the day phase. So let's go ahead and move over to dusk, get everything kind of set up for the night phase. I've got to go look at the phase tracker on the character keeper here. What do we got? All right, first things first. The quickening. It's that time again, Rick Miller. Please go ahead and roll with disadvantage, composure, or vitality, your choice, or
But
whatever.
not double disadvantage.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I'll let you have regular disadvantage. You're getting used to it. So, composure or sensitivity.
Okay. Let's see. I want to go home.
Did the dice finally decide to be jerks at the worst possible
Oh wait, I
moment?
forgot to roll my disadvantage dice. Let me see if it gets even worse.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. That's a 6.
6. Okay. Once again, we are faced with, will you be retiring this character or will you put on the Janus mask?
Okay, I'm gonna remember this time. Evens, it's no.
Hmm.
Odds, yes. And the
Okay.
question is, will I retire Rick? I'm playing the vessel. I want y'all to know that. Like, don't worry about it. I'll see y'all next week.
Oh no, is that it?
It was a 1, so
Oh
Are you
my.
for real?
yes, it's an odd number. So I was like,
That is that. If this is the deal. I shall now put the cursed in play.
Didn't you just smooth things over with your boyfriend?
I
Yeah.
know. At least you went out on a
Oh,
high
yeah.
note, right?
yeah.
I was like, he's gonna be crushed.
Possibly
Oh.
literally. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hmm. Very well. Very well. Let me take a look at your character. Make sure I'm doing everything right in the order of operations for this big moment.
Oh my god.
Fantastic. So this is a special threat. Da-da-da-da. I mean, I don't know how else to. I mean, I think what's going to happen here is during the night phase, Rick, I think we get to just see your initial transformation and just escaping Hargrave House and wrecking shit until Hargrave House can go deal with you at some point. And so that is going to be that. Let's keep going with our dusk phase.
Just a game question for a second, just because I like to get into the bones. So normally, if you have 3 threats in play, right? So this will be a
This would be a fourth
threat, which is
threat.
fine. Obviously, it doesn't change the
allowed.
reality. Does that
Yeah.
mean like until we have cleared 2 threats, another one will not come into play, or are those character-driven threats separate from
The character-driven threat. So basically, if there's already 3, which you do already have 3, that you can add a 4th one if it's a character-based threat like
Okay.
this one is. However, it still counts as an active threat, so
Okay.
you would have to clear 2
Sure,
more
2
before
another?
you
Okay,
went.
I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
curious.
No, it's a good question. The quickening is sorted. Are you doing night work tonight, Dr. Spectum?
Man, no, I'm not, because I think, especially given the fact that Vyn is going to just monster out. I think having everybody still be able to play. I did take night work. I am excited to use night work. I also think I'm super into this room right now and in a very weird spot. So let's just see what happens tonight.
Fantastic. Oh, you're staying in the astral plane room?
I think I am.
You're going to come back and hang out at the astral plane room? I like it. What about the resurrectionists? You're going to get them going?
I am going to use the resurrectionists are going to go out. They're going to look for a body part, and they're going to avoid any sort of negative complications that might come up from doing so.
Love it. Let's talk about Hargrave House. Today we're going to go to your last meal at Hargrave House, Rick Miller, in the dining room. You're all going to eat together, not even knowing this is the last time you're going to see Rick, probably. You don't often take meals together, but tonight you are. What's on the menu?
Just to twist this knife, I think Rick is going to give a taste of America's Southern comfort and cook for everyone.
I love the idea of Rick's prepared like a special meal for everyone tonight. Oh, it's so sad.
Which is going to be my favorites, like chicken and dumplings, biscuits, gravies, everything.
The good shit.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
got some
essentially.
turnip greens with some ham in there and everything, nice and vinegary.
I love turnip greens and mustard greens and collard greens. So good. On the menu.
Knox obviously makes coffee for everybody with dessert also too.
I think since Rick is cooking, Lord Grey has like quizzed him about what wine would pair with this. And I know it's a bananas conversation 100% because he's gone to him like, okay, I know this is, I'm not familiar with American food. What? So, and like just starts talking wine with you. It's probably insufferable.
Absolutely. Just wine. Maybe a little less wine from you and just go be pretty somewhere else.
If you insist.
Nah, bro, you got any Miller Lite and a Boone's Farm fuzzy navel?
Is that everybody with a food contribution?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said turnip greens.
Oh, that's right.
I'm thinking about turnip greens.
Now I want to go make greens so bad.
Wow. Okay, let's keep going here. I have to ask the question because I think it bears asking. Are you all going to try to answer a question right now?
I insist, my
Do
lord.
You insist? Do you insist? Which question would that be?
The Limehouse Lurker question. I think we're ready.
Theodora's on your tail there, so probably a good idea. The question is, where's the nest? Who has a thought? Let's review the clues for people watching. So we have lots of context and lots of story going on here, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clues that you can use. We know that the vampire has the power to influence large groups of children. We have this very unusual clue about the third thing in a series of 3 going missing. We have the stream of blood moving in a spiral. Blood of vampires is a different color. That's intriguing. There is this flip book showing monsters coming out of the water, and then we have swarms of bats over certain parts of the city. Who has a theory?
I mean, I have thoughts to start off. I don't have like 100% theory, but the place where Langfisk did fight the children, wasn't that some sort of like schoolhouse, workhouse?
It was a
What
workhouse.
was
It was
that?
a workhouse.
A workhouse. I think that is kind of near the lair, and the flip book is clearly pointing to like maybe a sewer system nearby or some other like Wes said earlier. I think maybe like an entrance to the sewer near this workhouse.
Obviously, you can follow the swarm of bats that are near these different like sewer openings, these specific sewer system openings, probably because there is an extreme amount of blood that's lingering here from food that's being carried into these holes.
Yes.
I almost like the it's maybe such character bleed right now, and just trying to be like, I don't want to resolve this. This is my, the I almost like the locations that we are aware of and the bats. Using the blood spiral image as a way to triangulate between the points that we know. To
Maybe the
point at
bats move in a spiral.
location.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So maybe the bats can help you hone in because they move in a spiral. And the center of the spiral is where the nest is. That's pretty cool.
Ooh, I love that.
And we're saying that it is in fact it's subterranean. We think it's in the sewer possibly. How is the flip book showing monsters coming out of the water helping with that? Remind me again.
I think it's like they're coming out of like a sewer system, and I think that maybe the monsters look vampire-y. Like I think that was the initial like concept.
Oh, what if there are like gangs of like stray children because it's London, like in the sewers as well? I think that would be pretty cool. I think that's how that clue can be worked in, right? I think that would be super dope.
I love that. More children for Langfisk to fight.
Yeah. So that just leaves the third thing in a series of 3 missing, and the blood of vampires being different colors depending on age.
Okay, this might be buck wild. Feel free to veto this, specifically Tony, because it's about Nox. But the third thing in a series of 3, doesn't Nox have a little like thing he does?
I mean, yeah, Nox. Yes, the nickname is descriptive of his behavior.
Maybe this is a thing that the vampire is doing because it thinks you're neat. And is
it's doing it for you.
It's doing it for you.
Oh, I love that. I think it's also totally fine. Like I'm really hoping for I'm hoping for a bad roll on this because I just would love to see a little bit of heel turn from Nox in this. But I'm totally. I love people noticing potentially a difference in the way he has been knocking in proximity to the vampire. Also, too, maybe even bringing that out. Like that, lots of times it's normal, but anytime it is, we are in the Limehouse district or adjacent to the conversation that his knocks start missing that third thing.
I think that's super cool, and I love the idea of like this is like some weird Baroque way that the vampire's communicating with you in particular, right? Because the vampire has shown like a distinct interest in you. It's something about the work you do, right?
Right.
How intriguing. So that explains away that clue, which means you still get credit for it. So that's great.
And the color of blood?
Yeah. Wes, Vyn, any thoughts? Or anything you want to adjust or add to?
Yeah, I would say probably from a hunting perspective. It's easier to track your prey when you're a hunter if you can note their blood. So I could say we could even say that maybe during the assault, one of the ones that like maybe Langfist nicked or maybe
it bled.
It bled and it went back, and so like a combination of Langfist and Rick were able to track it down.
So that's great. So you've heard rumors about kids hiding in the sewers. You've got this like flip book, which maybe just like pings your mind, or maybe someone else is looking into, underwater, creatures or underground creatures. We've got the bats moving in a spiral, the spiral generally getting you to the location, and then the spatters of unusual colored blood being the actual like entrance into the sewer. I really like it a lot. The actual manhole or whatever it is. Feels really good to me. Anybody have any additions or adjustments before we make this die roll?
I think that's it.
It's +2. Who wants to roll it?
Knock it out, Nox.
Right? Nox
or
has to
Rick.
do this.
Either Nox or Rick.
Here's the deal.
Rick's final roll.
Don't ask me to roll anything, okay?
We could answer
2
right now. We have another one we can potentially answer.
If you make me roll it, I'll propose that it's a disadvantage because of matters or nature of life and death. But just kidding.
No, you can't take a disadvantage on these.
I know you can't. Yeah. 2, 4, so 8 is the
8.
final.
Okay. So you're correct. You're gonna have a fight on your hands. But you're correct. You know where to find the vampire. So that's good. So with all that said, what is everyone doing tonight? We know what you're doing, Rick. Rick, you're wolfing out. We're gonna see you wolf out. Langfisk, what are you doing tonight?
Lord Grey, what do you need me to do, my lord?
Well, I mean, my question is how quickly will this disrupt any plan that Lord Grey has made? This wolfing, this massive threat.
My thinking on kicking off the scene was you're all getting ready to go do whatever you're going to do, and then Rick starts wolfing out. So.
Absolutely. Okay, I love this. I think like it is the second time that Bastion is going to try to go confront Theodora and trap her in a social politeness situation where they can confront each other. Like, I think like this is going to be the second time that gets thwarted.
So no one is actively going after the lurker yet, then?
Langfist, what are you doing?
Oh, Nox, if you want to go, if you need an assistant, I think this is interesting. I think probably Langfisk and Nox getting ready to go track down the lurker, and Bastion's Gray's like, I don't do that. I'm going to go do this thing. Probably Rick's going with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, we're all getting loaded up to go vampire hunting, putting gear on and everything.
He's got like the bandolier of stakes.
Leather duster for Langfisk to blend in with the night and everything.
Nox, what do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the astral plane room. I was just trying to decide if I was gonna surreptitiously try to leave a message for the lurker or not.
You're saying in the astral. Hey, if you got a message to deliver, you can have it. You can have Langfisk deliver. Langfisk will go and deliver this message.
No.
Like to warn them?
Yeah. I do think before I leave, I want to start out in the lab near the window before we leave. If I don't know when the change is going to happen, but
okay.
I'm going to leave in verse 3, so it's going to be missing like lit light outside the window.
Okay.
And then
I am. So you're trying to lure the lurker.
I'm trying to inform the lurker that something has changed.
Oh, how interesting. Wow.
I think it can add to that because I do have an informal that would fit with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to try and convince Brother Samuel to come with me.
Okay, okay, I love it. So Langfisk, you are the only one going to the lurker's lair then.
And I actually realized I did have Elma as bait, so I think I'm going to give this woman to you guys.
So you've got Elma.
Like, I've given you this woman and been like,
I'm going to try to call a disgraced vicar.
And I have told you not so discreetly to let her die.
I love it. So do you want to go ahead and roll for Brother Samuel then, Langfisk?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
I will do
Hargrave House Informals. Let's see if they're going to show up.
Perfect. Okay. It is a 7 because I think it's with presence.
It is, yeah. So Brother Samuel will show up, but he's going to take a while to show up, or he'll want something in exchange for his help. I'm gonna go with the takes a minute to show up. So you've got Elma at first. Okay.
I'll be like, yeah, don't worry, he's gonna show up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so we've got our scenes kind of set up here. We'll see how Rick's situation influences things, but I generally like where it's all going. Fantastic. Is there anything else we have to do in the phase? Well, we have the option of, I think we should save the Mask of the Sun for now and do all that together at some point. And so let's talk about the unseen. Tonight's unseen is going to be Moonlit Mudlarking. This is on line 11 of the Character Keeper. It's the second one from the right. The Port of London is one of the busiest in the world, and with so much cargo being loaded and unloaded, the odd crate ends up overboard. The ebb and flow of the Thames deposits this lost cargo up and down the riverbank. Under the light of the full moon, the desperate or optimistic pick through the sucking mud of low tide, stinking of shit and rotting fish, in the hope of finding treasure. I think it's that full moon that got you, Rick. That's my guess. Everyone does paint the scene. Let's see. The second is going to be B. The third prompt is going to be Wes. And the fourth prompt is going to be Vyn. Let's take our second break. We'll come back and do our no doubt very eventful night phase.
Yeah, chat's calling out the challenge to you, Jason. They're excited to see what comes.
I gotta see this. Oh, very intriguing. Yeah. I'm. You know, it's so interesting. Before we go to the break, because Wes knows what I'm doing. Wes knows what I'm about to do. Wes knows what I'm setting up for the campaign right now. I can tell Wes knows, and so the pressure is on. So I feel guilty if I steal away the opportunity to take care of the lurker, but
I'm doing everything in my power.
I didn't tell the American to wolf out. So
I know. I'm fighting for my life out here.
So I'm ready to take our break. So yeah, I'm gonna send us out. Yeah.
And we're back.
We are back. We have so much going on right now. We have Langfisk getting ready to be on the hunt for the Limehouse Lurker. We have poor Rick Miller getting ready to succumb to their terrible curse. Lord Grey trying to spend an evening again with Mrs. Brathwaite. And of course, delving into the astral plane through this very, very thin portal we have at the Society Obscura. All very interesting stuff. Very, very heightened stuff. And because of that, I want to have a long night phase. And because we have a limited amount of time for the stream, we're going to do the night phase next session so that we can do a nice big long one. I want to give Rick's Wolf Out all the time it needs to be badass. I want to give the Hunt of the Lurker all the time it needs to be badass, etc. In the meantime, I want to talk about this name of the game, The Between, because here we see it so strongly. It is so named because these characters are in the middle. They are in between things. We have characters that are in between the life they lived and the terrible, terrible, ferocious, feral life they are condemned to. We have characters between service and duty and exceptionalism. We have characters that live in a state, well, they're preserved by dark and terrible magic, their innate cruelty. Pawned off on something else so that they can go on. There is no better way to describe how this is a game about characters that live between worlds than the Mask of the Sun. Because as the sun goes down, as that full moon rises, the veil between worlds thins, and you all dream of another world, an ancient world, primordial earth, when the old gods held court and made war on each other, when terrible, terrible things were in the earth. You each get to glimpse it in your own way. Whoever wants to go first, tell us how you dream.
The very first throat scream. There's no words, no stories to tell, only screaming. Screams of pain, screams of pleasure, screams of joy, screams of anguish. And they all echo in the same wretched cacophony.
This is the night before. Langfisk awakes with a startle. We had seen him tossing and turning in his sheets, and he startles up. He's naked, mustache and hair wild. Scrambles towards the writing desk and grabs the book, the notebook, these letters that he's been writing, and grabs a pen. And as he writes this out, we see almost these visions start to pop out of his head, like the head itself cracks open. Nettie, he writes feverishly. The red rocks were always there. We called them ours, but they had been there long before we ever laid upon them. They were once a great mountain. I've seen this mountain in my dreams. Its jagged peak severs the night sky. We see that grow out of the head and take up the screen. There are so many stars that dance and shiver along the edges of this mountain. Amongst them, I see a silver, resplendent star, but as I look closer, I notice it's a man climbing up this peak, carrying his soul behind him. It is blackened, and it has these terribly pathetic creatures with fish faces following behind it, biting along at its toes as it's dragged behind him. The man sees me. He screams and I scream, and our screams become one as I realize that he is eating me one bite at a time. I am not myself, but I am the fish creatures. They are me. I was here before, and I was perfect, but I was forced to change.
I think in just one room over, Lord Bastion Grey does not wake up. But we see from those mountains that Langfist describes a pan out and then a rapid pan in to a reflective pool of incredibly dark blood, the darkest you've ever seen. And the face looking down into it isn't one that he recognizes. It's not human. It is something far grander, maybe something better once. And the face looks up, and down around it are bones. Some of them reptilian, maybe, fish bones, bones of creatures that existed long before us and have never existed again, and there is a throne made out of these. And the being sits there and watches as other creatures, maybe humans, not really, these were long before humans, slit their own throats in front of it and add to the pool of blood.
For the longest time, Nox thought it wasn't a dream, that it was just a memory of darkness. Until he realized that in the darkness there were bodies moving, huddling, shivering, afraid. Not alone, but afraid and cowering together in the darkness. And then he felt it. Her arm move up the back of his head, holding him, caressing him, whispering something in a language older than time into his ear. Then there was heat and friction as he rubbed and rubbed and rubbed. The first spark shows a face more beautiful than any he's ever seen, tall, gaunt, and alien. The second, all the bodies of those around him, dead on the ground, her covered in their blood, radiant and resplendent. He can't quite figure out how to make the light stay until she leans in closely and whispers in his ear, "Breathe." And as he blows on the spark, the flame erupts into bright light and shadow, and she is gone. And the next day when he wakes up, he knows how to do it. He knows what was wrong before.
Fantastic chat, and I am living for Mask of the Sun, so thank you. That will very nearly conclude our session for tonight. We are set up well for this action-packed and quite intense, I think, night phase that you've all set up, thematically speaking. Before we go, we see a man, clean cut, well groomed, soft hands, smells of juniper, tries to present his best foot forward despite the fact that he is a disgraced vicar. Brother Samuel rushes down the street quickly, talking to himself. I have to hurry. Oh, Mr. Langfist is going to be so angry if I'm late. He's weaving in and out. He's being slowed down by masses of people, but he's desperately trying to get to this random spot that Langfist has asked him to be at. He's already behind when he hears the clop, 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 clop of heavy horse hoofs and an enormous, elaborate carriage pulling up beside. And the enchanting woman with the blue gem at her throat looks out the window and says, Brother Samuel, please get in. I'd be happy to take you wherever you're going. And with that, we'll go, with that little making the night phase even extra tricky, we shall go to Stars and Wishes.
So good.
Stars, wishes, stars, things we enjoyed about the story, wishes, things we hope to see next time during this night phase. I know what I want to see. I want to see lots of badass wolfing out.
Yeah.
I want to see lots of vampire killing, and I want to have my whole Kate Beckinsale fantasy next week. Please, let's do it. That's my first wish.
I am. It's a star, even though I'm so upset. Like, I feel like we finally, like, we're getting into the meat of Rick. Things are gelling, relationships are forming, it's broadening out, which is great for that hook of, we have made you care about this character, and now we're going to crush your heart. Like, what a star. What a way to give, Ben, what a way to give yourself over, like, to that.
I love it. I'm here for anything that's going to lead to great scenes. So
Yeah.
I'm not precious about characters hanging around.
But I think I said it after
But I love it.
I said it off air, but it was also like, what a great last day before that. Also, like, it had, without us knowing that's where the role was going to go, right? Like, such beats of, let's give this character their perfect last day.
It's like when you know your dog
Dog's
is,
gonna die.
when your
That's
dog's
exactly
gonna
what I
die.
said. It was like a dog's last day.
It's
Oh
dog's
my
last
gosh.
day.
Yeah. Like, let's get
Oh
let's
no.
let's get high
Rick
with
got
the
all the
food.
treats he could
Let's
handle.
spend some time with Periwinkle. Let's have all of our favorite foods. Oh. God. Wes, stars, that dream, like, so good. And also, like, I loved seeing the parallels between, like, you going with, like, the way you parallel your interactions with the undeniable, like, and the way that they are different every single time is really interesting. Like, there's the same beats that lets us, like, in chat make the joke about, like, oh, like, let's watch him go get the cloak again. Like, but, like, every single time it's going to build on it and subvert it, and that takes a lot to create the sense of expectation but also subversion, and a lot of that's coming on your side. Like B's playing into that so well also too, but, like, it's really being driven by your responses to B's choices, and so, like, it's super super strong. B, I mean, like, I always just super enjoy watching you, like, go to town on it, but, like, the viciousness of the cloak this time of setting that person up is so good. And then Jason, like, it hit me again today, like, just watching the pacing, the intonation. Like, you're very good at this, and you've done episodes of, like, Fear of the Black Dragon about this also too, but, like, the way you practice intonation and pacing also too, like, the vocal effect Like it draws in, and I've used this story before, but like oh my gosh, that was so good. But like also like it was really in one of the moments where you were explaining something, and it took me back to the time where we were on stream and your internet lagged and fell out, and we weren't sure for 30 seconds whether you were just creating tension or not. But you had some really great beats tonight of just skillfully pacing out your tone, your body language, which is just so hard to do on stream also too. I'll hit wishes in a second after some other people have talked, but those are some of my stars from tonight. And chat, ring in with your stars and wishes also too.
Let's get chat stars going for sure. Chat was really fun tonight. I had a good time with chat tonight. Star for chat.
Yeah, star for chat. Thank you.
A star for those Mask of the Sun before anybody says it. Those were so good. Like that is the tone I want to set up this badass night phase with. Like that is what I want. So yeah, star for that for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. This was bananas. Yeah. I'm gonna bounce off Jason first. Those stars, not stars. Those Masks of the Sun. Sun's a star. It's fine. They were so good they made my brain stop working. Absolutely. Like Vyn's, yours was so just brutal and quick. It felt like the beginning of a novel. Like that feels like if I read that at the beginning of a novel, I would have to like voraciously read the rest. That I really have to applaud you for that sort of efficiency of language. Astounding. Wes, Jesus Christ, I didn't know how you were going to make the letters work.
It was so good.
That was really cool. That was so cool. That was amazing. God. And Tony, yours was so cool. The realization about like that she was teaching you how to make fire like Prometheus. I was like, oh my gosh, that was such a cool. That was so thematically perfect for Nox. Like, everybody's done so fabulous. Vyn, the fact that you're willing to completely sacrifice Rick as for a really cool character beat for a really good story is so. I admire that. I aspire to be that like gung-ho in play. That is so fucking awesome. Oh my God. I am so excited to see how you handle being the threat because like I don't know how that's
well
gonna work.
It gets taken out of Vyn's hands, unfortunately.
Poor Rick. I love this. Oh my gosh. And I'm excited to meet your new vessel. I'm excited to meet your next character. That's one of my wishes. I'm very excited to see who you are next.
I think I think I'll be making the Unquiet available too. The Unquiet will be on the table because you all did the Mask of the Unquiet, right? The Hauntings. Yeah. So that will be available for new characters as well. Not to influence your choice, Vyn.
Maybe at the end, tell us a little bit about that playbook also too, whether it gets picked or not.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what little freak you play, Vyn. I'm very excited. Wes, I always love doing scenes with Langfisk. It's always so fun. And I have to agree, you absolutely carry the tone of where these are going to go. Like, and I really love how you do it. It's delightful. And I really love how many like mechanical things you bring in so smoothly, just like seamlessly. Like, oh yeah, and I'm going to bring him into Hargrave House. He's one of my folks now. Like, that's really, really rad. I really love that. And I love your whole thing about like being good at guessing how people are going to be, like, because you're good at betting on dogs. That was a really cool character moment. And it's intriguing. Tony, I want to point out something that Tony said off mic that I don't think he's going to point out about his own character, but he is wearing an ascot now because he got bit in the neck. And that is very fun because I love how dedicated you are to this vampire storyline. Holy shit. That's warning the vampire that they're coming. Tony! It's amazing. Astounding. And I also really, I always love your masks, but I also really love just the entire scene with Periwinkle. I need to point at the entire thing you said to Periwinkle.
That's a star for me too. I want to second that real quick. That was a really short scene, Vyn, between you and I, or between Rick and Periwinkle, but that was probably one of the most fun, like 45-second long scenes I've ever done. Like, it was so good. It was really enjoyable. Like, I felt that. It was great. Yeah.
It felt very real. I have to say that felt like, and honestly, I love Periwinkle, and like his two very, very different interactions with you two, just fucking delicious. Just, and Jason, I love the pacing of this. I love that you're going to give us a whole like night phase game.
You want
pretty
a
much.
luxurious night phase every now and then.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
every
love
now
a
and then.
luxurious night phase.
Mhm.
Like, I'm very excited that I to see how you run this incredibly chaotic night phase. I love that you decided to pull out Theodora a few times, like really ramping up her being a problem is super fun.
I felt a little bad because because Wes put on a mask to avoid Lynn having the ring, and I was like, fuck it, almost got the ring.
I love that shit. That was so good. Oh my god, that just
I
gives
wanted
me
to
more
be clear to
motivation.
chat and anyone watching what I was doing there, because what I was doing, this is Keeper, behind the scene Keeper stuff, right? So the Hargrave House has 4 conspiracy clues. On a 5th, or mastermind clues. On a 5th mastermind clue, Theodora gets to make one of the unresolved threats into a servant, taking that away from Hargrave House and all their progress. And I'm aiming for the Limehouse Lurker. And so
God, it's going to be a race to see.
Yeah. I'm aiming for the Limehouse Lurker. So I was determined to get that 5th comparison, that 5th mastermind clue in there so that I could justify it. And then I'm giving you a chance to resolve it still, but I'm clearly pointing Theodora at undercutting you there.
I
So,
love that because Jason, I don't know that
yeah.
you were on when Wes was talking about how badly he wants to recruit the Limehouse Lurker as a member of the ring. So
I'm
like,
power
I'm
gaming
very
a
down
little bit.
for
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
power
Well,
gaming a
this
little
race.
bit. I was like, I want my little network of people.
Because it came up, I want to build
Vampire.
on we checked in with it on break also too, but like I really enjoyed the scene with Vyn. I left with Rick. I left very open with that initial question, right? And I did check in with Vyn afterwards to make sure that we were all comfortable with it, which I should have done before. But I one of the things I love is I left it very open for you as a player to be able to take wherever you wanted Patrick's, whichever one of those 2 conversations for Patrick that you wanted to explore during that time, you could, even though the one he was asking about was definitely about you being a wolf and changing. I loved that you picked up on that, like that level of communication with somebody who this is our first time playing together. For me, shows like a level of like, oh, you're 100% picking up where I'm going down and understand you can go either way and pick the one that makes sense to you. But yeah, the striding across the room and the flirting scene was also just such another great.
I can 100% tell I'm running this for vampire players. Can I just throw that out there? Vampire players always show up for the between. Whether it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I want to give a star to I want to give stars Vyn. That's a tried and true Vyn Vox maneuver. I can't tell you how many games I've run for Vyn where Vyn's like, oh, there's an option for me to play a new character. Let me do that. Oh, I'm able to change my skin or my playbook, and like but like stars for it all the time because it's always gutting. It's always heart-wrenching because, like you said, Tony, there's more to that character and we'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, fuck you, Vyn. Fuck you, Vyn. But no, like, I love you, buddy. Vyn's that dude. And like you said, vampire players, absolutely. Yeah, we're either we know what the fuck we're doing or we're weird, edgy, leather jacket wearing people. So yeah, a star for B. Narr. For the Elma scene, and for you just I put it in the chat, but I was like right in front of my salad, just doing Giveth right in front of like laying Fisk and being like, this is like, oh god, it's exactly what being a thrall for a vampire is like, where you're just like, make me one of you, and it's like, no, you just keep collecting more of me. What? So it's great.
Eventually,
you're just so precious how you are. I need you. You're so effective. Star to Tony for like the going on the astral plane scene and like really leaning into like the cosmic side of the between and everything. That's like it's one of my favorite parts of the Between, because I love the monsters. I love the vampires and the little creatures from Cremorne Gardens and ghosts and everything. But when you start getting to like the Whately camera and some of these other more cosmic stuff, like that's when you start getting in like this weird stuff, and it makes sense to have. That's why like those masks. I purely believe that like you did a great job setting up those masks of the sun, like going to that astral room and everything like that, and setting that in. That really like set the foundation for us to really tee up these very primordial cosmic dreams that we're having. So that was really good for that. Then also another star for the periwinkle scene. Just God damn it, Jason. I feel it. I feel it. I'm feeling the fire. I think this is Theodora is not my favorite mastermind. It's Flag, but I have never had a Theodora that I've felt the pressure so much during the game that I'm like, oh, this woman is asking for. She is sticking her finger in all of my pies. Like now it's like for like my character, it's like now it's personal. You're affecting my business. You're affecting me, and you're affecting like the business that I'm trying to run so that I can have something for myself. And it's like, nope. Okay, you're done. And so like I'm full in. I'm in. I'm all in. Let's do it. But no, y'all are great. Wishes. I cannot wait to see what Vyn plays next week. And I understand that Vyn would make an excellent vessel. But if you do look at that Unquiet book, I don't know.
That might be a good point. Just cue it up, Jason. Why don't you tell us what?
Yeah,
about
the Unquiet. Yeah. So there's the Between is an interesting game in the sense that there are things that like may or may not ever come into play based off what happens in your campaign. It's a little bit like it's a kind of a light legacy kind of thing in a sense, like certain things unlock things. And one of the things that can happen is if you do the Mask of the Unquiet in the St. James's Street Ghost threat, if that gets done, if that gets marked, then you have a new playbook option available called the Unquiet. And I don't want to say too much about it here, but I will say that the Unquiet is the ghost of a long dead hunter from Hargrave House from like hundreds of years ago, and they are bound to Hargrave House, and they're haunting Hargrave House, but they come back as a ghost to help out the current residents of Hargrave House to hunt monsters. So that's the Unquiet.
Love it.
Yeah, something to think about. That's me though. That's where
I love a vessel though. To be clear, like
vessels are great.
Yeah, a Between game without a vessel feels kind of funny in a sense because the vessel is such a core part of like the vibe, I guess.
It also cranks up the horny levels a little bit too.
Oh, it's that one's for the monster fuckers. There's just no way around it.
I thought it was horny now.
I'm gonna do
it was humid. No, that's not where that sweat's from.
I've got other stars. I already said it once, but yeah, I just love that little scene. That little short scene between Periwinkle and Rick was just so aces. I was really, really into it. I also like the way that I also kind of like the Periwinkle and Nox scene. That the difference of it was really fun. It was really great. This is not a star so much as something I want to point out because to some degree, I want people to understand how I run the game, and I want people to be conscious of what I did with Brother Samuel. So I have made it my goal this session to terrorize Langfisk with Theodora, right? And to get Theodora in position to snatch the lurker out from underneath Hargrave House. And so Langfisk, by getting the 7-9 on Brother Samuel, opened up a door for me because Brother Samuel's delayed. And so I used that as an opportunity to I can use that delay in Brother Samuel to get Theodora up in there, right? Now, Wes could have avoided that by putting on a mask and maybe with a less clever keeper that would have been wasted. But here it would not have been. You would have saved yourself some trouble. So, but you had no way of knowing what I was going to do. So,
I like the trouble.
Yeah. We're all here for the trouble, right? So I'm always looking for those opportunities, like those little left open doors, like the stuff with the lurker last session, right? Like the little doors that get left open in the dice. I like to step through them with like hard moves and stuff and reactions. So yeah, just something to kind of throw out there for people who are looking to up their GMing game, I guess. In terms of other stars, I really love the scene with Elma and Lord Grey and the cloak thing. It was just so good. It was also just it was also just mechanically a good use of giveth, because you got rid of an item that you had already spent mechanically, and so it was there to be just like it's like currency essentially at that point, right? So that was really clever. Just really love that. Uh, Mask of the Suns were all really terrific, but Langfist, yours really was like impressive. Like, or West, yours was so impressive. Like, and Vince was impressive in like in an opposite way. Like, it had that economy of language, which is also really impressive. That's hard to do, right? But so those two were the real standouts for me. But they were all four were quite good. And yeah, I'm just loving the vibe of this table and this campaign. It's just really fun. Everyone's doing such a great job. I feel so so pleased and privileged to be able to run this for you all. So thank you. Yeah.
Love it.
Golly gee willikers. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
If I had a nickel for every time I discarded my between character at the height of drama, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but weird that it's happened twice. Uh, and Wes happened to be there. Anywho, goodness gravy. I'm gonna give myself a little sparkle. I had just told my mom during break, this is so hot, and now I don't have to put it on again. So I just shot myself in the foot, essentially. Um, Going across the screen, Jason, you're so great. You've made flirting with an NPC so easy and not awkward to do because all the role play is just fun. Your NPCs are great, and like I can't keep saying the same thing over and over again. So I'll be more creative and find something else to compliment you about. B, I can't wait for our characters to finally get along. Wouldn't that be nice? I love Grace so much, and I'm so glad Rick's last words is "Go off and be pretty."
Words I will treasure forever.
Yeah, for no reason at all. Just great work. I love the undeniable so much as a playbook, and just using Giveth to just give someone else away was top notch. Tony Knox again. Knox is going to be Knox wherever he goes, and I think that's so great that he is such a character, and just wow, that conversation with Periwinkle from in innuendos to oh no, actual dead body. Uh Wait. Was super good.
I did think about mentioning exploring the cavities, but I just, like that's a
That
two different ways of using that word.
Save that one for another
yeah, put that in the pocket.
another innuendo. Yeah.
Also, I do want to circle back. Yeah, our intimacy was very good, and just that is just great improv synchronicity between actors, like giving me like the tee up and then letting me swing either way for it. And just you're right, between like two people who haven't played before, that was S tier.
Yeah.
A fantastic interaction. Wes, I'm not gonna give a star to you. I'm gonna give a star to your standing desk, but seeing you like walk off at any point in time to react was just fantastic. I love Langfisk. What a pathetic little Aussie. I love seeing him suffer. I don't know. Maybe somebody else. It's time for him to die too. Just maybe. Wouldn't that be silly, goofy, funny, great?
I'll play the unquiet then.
Yeah.
Don't kill my man. Who will put on my shirts?
See, that's character growth for Bastion. I wish for a fucking break. I need to order some more dice. I don't know if they need an exorcism because they were rolling so well until it was time not to. I'm feeling great. I will miss Rick. I loved him a lot, but I will honor the dice. I know I had any other option, but it's dramatically appropriate.
Oh, I have another star for I love when Rick shaded Lord Grey with the peacock. Like it was like I caught that. I was like, oh good, yeah.
We've got a couple from chat. One for Jason specifically. The keeper transparently discussing goals and establishing if you don't do something, I will do this. Let's make it interesting. And then we've got from Amanda. I think all of your characters tolerate each other so well. That's a hard dynamic, and you all really nail it. Also too, and so
And there's a star for you as well, Tony, for giving Knox a little Tom Waits Renfield vibe. So I'm into that. I just watched that movie recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so, no, it was thoroughly enjoyable. I'm super excited for the long night stream. Even though the CFB power gamer in me is like, Jason's just denying me XP. That's really what's happening here.
You know what? You're gonna have so many great storytelling opportunities because you're gonna mark so many Janus masks, and that's the character advancement we really love.
That's
in
the character
CFB
advancement.
land.
Advancement to the end.
Yeah.
With that said, we do have a giveaway. I rolled randomly during the break from all the different social media things that have been reported to me or that I was tagged in. This one is from over on Twitter, which is, I know they've been here, but I haven't seen them in chat tonight. This is Levi Phipps97 over on Twitter, Mr. From Chat himself. I'll read off a couple of them just because I think it's a good way to close out. I do, of course, enjoy every moment from the first few episodes, but the most recent vulnerable move with Nox and Langfist, especially the justification for clearing person of interest. Rick failing on the quickening and Lord Grey only going, lots of special conditions from Jason. Aces. You only have one last chance. You can keep your eyes closed or see into eternity. Susan screamed for that one. Werewolf BF. This is one of my favorite moments. I burst out laughing deep into my soul when Wes was talking about the need for a custom move and being a completionist in the game. Lord Grey being extra mean to Portia for nothing. And then Lord Grey trying to emotionally destroy. Oh, I just said that one. Everybody loves watching Lord Grey try to destroy somebody. And then Nox Mask of the Past. I've never seen a mother try to focus on bringing back a parental figure before. Were a couple of the other ones that got listed there. If you guys continue to have great moments, feel free tag us. I'm happy to every week do a little giveaway from the +1 side of things. Also, too.
I've got more Brindlewood Bay books.
The problem is everybody so far, and I'm willing to bet Levi may also already own Brindlewood Bay, but let folks know. I also know that Wes had talked about being willing to send some letters, so we may see next week a couple of goals come out. We typically hover across all things about 20 people live on stream at any given point in time, about 15 on Twitch, and then some other platforms, but would love to see that get more. Would love to help other people discover this game. Again, all the past videos are on YouTube or here on Twitch, at least for a little while. And we will be putting out some of the audio later on also too. Jason, anything that you want to talk about before we go? And we're also going to give people a chance to just kind of plug who they are, where to find them, all that kind of good stuff.
No, but I will, nothing specific, but I do want to say that if you have not yet checked out the Gauntlet Patreon, we're doing some really cool stuff over there. We put out on a weekly basis, mostly consistently weekly basis, we put out a new thing for our patrons, a new scenario, a new playbook, a new character sheet, a new little thing for one of our games comes out in our Patreon feed. That's managed by Alex, who does a great job with kind of moving all that stuff through. And there's a couple of things coming up. There's one thing coming up for the Between really, really soon that involves Greco, the second-sided boy from the Creature of Cremorne Gardens. It's one of the coolest things I've ever written. And so I'm very excited for everyone to give that a look. So
awesome. Vyn, if people want to find you, what's the best place to do that?
Oh my gosh, that'll be at Vyn Vox VA on Twitter and TikTok. Or if you want to see me be like an actual professional voice actor, vynvox.com. You'll have my demo reels, my resume. And speaking of being a vampire player, I'm starting a little series to teach people how to play Vampire the Masquerade called Beginners in Darkness. I'm going to break down the basic mechanics of the game and hopefully give people an opportunity to learn how to play Vampire the Masquerade.
Awesome. B, same thing. How about you?
Well, oh my gosh. Well, I'm not teaching anyone how to play Vampire the Masquerade, tragically. But everyone go watch Vyn do that and do all sorts of cool stuff. You can find me everywhere at Sassy Lich, Lich like the undead thing. I heard people say lick. You can also say it like that if you want. I won't stop you. If you want to hear me do voice acting stuff, I'm in a lot of different shows they're usually scary and people usually just have me die, which if you want to hear me scream and die, go listen to some stuff I'm in.
Awesome.
Please, no one ever say lich lick. That's incredibly
Please,
cursed.
please
So,
don't.
yeah.
But like, I've heard it.
It's an ancient lick. Terrorizing the villagers.
A long H.
Or is it a
dreadful
demi
lick.
lick?
Demi lick.
Yeah.
Secret note, that was almost the name of the Between, was Demi Lick, wasn't it, Jason? No, I'm just kidding. So, Wes.
Hi, it's me, your resident Demilick. My name is Wes Franks. I make stuff, I design stuff, I write stuff. If you want to support me directly, I check out carrion-comfort.com. That's my website, and it's got all the stuff that I've ever done. I've got a whole work page where I have different links to different actual plays if you want to check me running stuff or playing and stuff. I wrote a game and released it earlier this year where you build a house of cards and you tell the story of building a house with it. I've got a game coming out in October 24th, hopefully. So it's called Vor. So if you like Dungeon Meshy, or like Darkest Dungeon or the music of Cannibal Corpse, then like go ahead and check it out. It's on my itch. Just go to carrioncomfort.itch.io. And like it's gonna be like an OSR style. You're a group of cannibals called Carrion, and your whole existence is you go out and you do jobs for people, and it includes taking care of bandits or hunting down a cockatrice or something. And the thing is, when you kill things, you have this urge to eat them. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm dealing with it. It's going to be very gruesome, very cool, very gross, very queer also. So check that out. And if you want to like hire me to write stuff, then go ahead and do that. If you don't, that's fine too, man. Like, that's your jam, not mine. But also like, follow me on the socials, Carrion Comfort. Just look it up. It's Comfort Carrion on most places because somebody took Carrion Comfort. Just look it up and then follow me and we can talk about stuff. And I post teasers about stuff. And I'm in the Gauntlet Discord. I'm writing a bunch of games in the Gauntlet Discord. Come over and play games with us and everything.
Yeah, come hang out in the Gauntlet Discord. It's a great
We were
Discord.
talking about it right before we went live. It's a good Discord.
It's super cool, and we're all in it, and you should
Discord.
hang out with us.
We will be back next Thursday. We do have a whole bunch of other great things going on here at Plus One. We've got some other streams coming up, but none of them which I can remember right now because I've been out for basically the last week and a half. Since the last time we were on stream, I basically was laying on my back for most of that time. So I'm a couple of weeks behind on everything. One of the things I'm behind on that you should go check out is RPG Zine Club. That's at rpgzine.club. Check out all the details there. Every month we have a couple of small creators, small new emerging voices from across the globe. We help them release a zine without having to go to crowdfunding. It's a great way to support small independent projects. There's two flavors, adventure and story. And by behind, I mean everything went to print, but I have to go swap out all the digitals on the back end and do all the stuff that I should have done last week when I couldn't type or sit or do anything else. So that'll all be coming up. We've got Candleberry Jam, which is this is going to sound weird. It's an OSR adventure, but it's in our story section because it's just super, the narrative and the timeline on it were all super well written, and a lot of the difference between story and adventure is vibes. And the other one is Butt and Head, where it's a 2 to 3 player adventure game where one of you plays the butt of a centaur and the other one plays as their head, and you go on adventures together. You can go check out those at rpgzine.club, or if you just want to pick up the titles, they'll be available later this month on plus1exp.com. But come back next Thursday and join us again. Congratulations to Levi Phipps. Reach out over on Discord. We'll get you all squared away with either the copies of Brindlewood Bay and Nephews in Peril or a gift card to plus1exp.com. Until next time, we'll see y'all then.